The uptick in popularity corresponds with a $2.2 billion TV rights deal the WNBA signed for 2026 that covers the next 11 years, which ESPN reports will increase the league's annual revenue by about $200 million a season. Yet, WNBA players say they're not being paid what they're owed. Right now, they get less than 10% of the league's total revenue, a strikingly slim margin when compared to other pro sports leagues in which athletes typically split revenues about 50-50.
It never ceases to amaze me. It never ceases to amaze me at the lengths that this league will go through to polish this increasingly rancid turd. We landed a new TV deal. We are no longer worth $100,000. Now we're worth millions. You weren't worth $100,000 to begin with. Looking at your balance sheet, you were financially worthless. But as I've explained countless times before, the WNBA did not sign a new television deal. Now, in their defense, the diva of Dump Divas, Kat Engelbert, along with entitled WNBA players, they begged Adam Silver to allow them to negotiate their own broadcast rights with the networks, which is something that Adam Silver should have done. Have you ever wondered why he didn't? Maybe, just maybe, Adam Silver knew something that entitled WNBA players didn't know. Maybe Adam Silver knew that the networks had absolutely no interest or intention of paying for pretend basketball. Maybe that's why Adam Silver made the inclusion of the WNBA a requirement for networks who wanted access to broadcast the NBA. This $2 billion, this $200 million influx that the WNBA players keep mentioning, this is another generous donation from their primary subsidizers in the NBA. Last week, Congress got involved in WNBA players' never-ending quest to be given money they haven't earned. We have got a divided nation right now who some believe is on the verge of civil war. Now, me personally, I don't believe that. I think normal people are holding evil accountable and doing everything we can to eradicate it. But either way, there are important issues for politicians in Congress to be focusing on. And what is the Democratic Women's Caucus focusing on? They are sending a letter to the WNBA demanding that they start negotiating in good faith and finish the new CBA before the October 31st deadline. Translation: they're demanding that the WNBA give in to the unreasonable demands of WNBA players. Check out some of the names who signed this letter. I'm sure you'll be surprised to know that Jazz Crockett signed the letter. Jazz does absolutely nothing in Congress besides spread hatred and division. So it's no surprise that she is advocating for players to be given money they haven't earned. Rashid Tlaib, Omar Elon, Granny Nancy Pelosi. Well, KC, did Elizabeth Warren sign the letter? No, I actually checked with my inside sources and asked why Liz didn't sign the letter. They told me that she was busy strategizing with Squanto. They were coming up with a battle plan to take back land from the evil colonizers. I guarantee you, most members of Congress who signed this letter, they have no idea that the WNBA has never turned a profit. I wouldn't be surprised if most of them have never watched a WNBA game. Now, to their credit, WNBA players have done an excellent job polishing this turd. They have done a phenomenal job convincing the uninformed that they are victims of an oppressive system who refuses to pay them fairly. Perhaps they borrowed the polish from the league itself, because it appears that the WNBA has once again done a great job at disguising their television ratings. It appears that the WNBA has once again done a great job presenting the illusion of success. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. Earlier today on the second channel, talked about Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel throwing the entire team under the bus that WNBA players use to travel to road games. Mike McDaniel seems to be on the verge of potentially losing his job. Instead of accepting full responsibility for the Dolphins' miserable start to the NFL season, Mike McDaniel blames his players and his coaches. I'm sure that went over very well in the locker room. I give you all the details, so click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Headline at Front Office Sports and damn near every other mainstream media outlet. WNBA ratings rise 3% without Caitlin Clark. Based on available data, and that is very important to remember. I'll explain what I mean here in just a second. Based on available ratings, the WNBA averaged 969,000 viewers across their network partners: ABC, ESPN, CBS, and something called ION or ION. It's the most watched season of pretend basketball since 1998. I told you our league was more than one player. This is proof that the WNBA features huge stars. Settle down, Sparky. Uncle KC is about to be the party pooper. Pretend basketball games on ABC average 1.4 million viewers. WNBA games on CBS average 1.2 million. ION averaged 627,000. Now, obviously, these are great numbers for the WNBA. There's no denying the fact that the league is growing. 7 teams averaged over 10,000 people a game. Ironically enough, the Minnesota Lynxers, which is supposedly the best team in the league, the Lynxers also feature Nafisha Collier, which is supposedly one of the biggest stars in the dump. The Lynxers averaged 9,900 per game, filling the Target Center to around 50% capacity. But either way, no denying the fact, WNBA growing. The question Kat Engelbert is asking, is this growth sustainable? Uncle KC believes that Kat Engelbert has her doubts. I think one of the holdups in negotiations for a new CBA, WNBA players are wanting to use numbers based on what Caitlin Clark is generating, while the league is looking at numbers without Caitlin Clark, and they're probably wondering, what the hell are we going to do without her? What are we going to do if, God forbid, she gets a career-ending or even a career-altering injury? What are we going to do if the mystique subsides and Caitlin Clark is no longer the same draw? The average CBA is around 5 years. These are questions that the league is thinking about and players care nothing about. WNBA players, they just want their money and they want it now. So, what are the numbers without Caitlin Clark? Caitlin Clark played 1 game on ION this season, 1.3 million viewers. The Indiana Felines played 7 more games on ION without Caitlin Clark, 954,000. The rest of the WNBA averaged 505,000. On CBS, the Indiana Felines averaged 1.8 million. Rest of the dump, 833,000. ABC, Felines averaged over 2 million. Rest of the league, just over 1 million. ESPN, Felines averaged 1.4 million. Rest of the dump, 643,000. But there is a caveat to some of these numbers. Well, Casey, are you talking about the new methods that Nielsen is using to increase television ratings? No, they're doing the same thing with the NFL and everything else on television. It's just a modernized way to calculate ratings. Not going to hold that against the WNBA. I'm talking about the mysterious absence of some WNBA ratings. Between ESPN and ABC, which is the same network, between ESPN and ABC, there were 4 WNBA games not involving the Indiana Felines where ratings were not reported. I wonder why. Let's think of some potential reasons that ratings would not be reported. Maybe they were lost in the mail. Maybe the non-binary stork dropped them while attempting delivery. Maybe ratings for these 4 games were so high that ESPN refused to report them to prevent embarrassing Caitlin Clark. Or maybe, just maybe, ratings were so low for these 4 games, ESPN refused to provide them. This would not be the first time that ESPN has disguised ratings. I remember a couple of years ago, I did a video here on YouTube about Pat McAfee's ratings at ESPN. He had just started at the network. I believe we only had a couple of weeks worth of data. The ratings were atrocious. Pat McAfee was losing 50% of Stephen A's lead-in audience. A couple of media outlets picked up the story. The following morning, ESPN issued a press release where they polished the turd and boasted about the success of Pat McAfee. Now, just to be clear, I have nothing against Pat McAfee. I was just talking about his ratings. Next thing I know, Pat McAfee's ratings are damn near impossible to find. Is that a coincidence? I don't know why anyone at ESPN would be watching my channel, but let's just say the timing was very strange. The point is, ESPN has a history of not reporting undesirable ratings. Did they do this with the WNBA? I'll let you decide, but it's strange that of all their broadcast partners, the only missing games are on ESPN and ABC. Like I've said countless times in this video, there's no denying the fact that the WNBA is growing, but the way they present it, you would think that the WNBA is one of the most popular sports leagues in America, when the reality is that could not be further from the truth. The WNBA playoffs started this past Sunday. How many of you guys knew that? How many stories have you seen about the WNBA recently? The biggest story going into the playoffs, hell, the only story going into the WNBA playoffs was Natasha Cloud demonizing Charlie Kirk. And that's the problem with this league. Even when Caitlin Clark is playing, the WNBA doesn't generate interest based on basketball. The WNBA doesn't generate interest based on their product. The vast majority of the interest in this league is based on drama, whether it's woke politics, mythical racism, white privilege. That's the only time this league is interesting. Now, is that sustainable? Is that enough for WNBA players to be given long-term, multi-million-dollar contracts? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.